Man, I've missed that fucking intro. I have missed that intro. I love that jingle. For all of you that don't know, I'm the Degenerate 75, and that's my Showdown Hoedown intro. Hopefully you know it from the PGA season where we were doing Showdown Hoedown and killing it all the time. But hopefully you're also a new guy. What's up, new guy? I hope you found this channel, and I hope you like the cut of my jib. If you do, consider like and subscribing because we're trying to grow the channel. And the big guy here is a high-limit DFS player who is helping people get better at this shit because it's really hard. We started with PGA season, but I'm also pretty good at football, specifically college football and NFL football. I don't know too much about Canadian football. Won't lie to you, brother. So what are we doing here? Well, we're going to break down the Showdown slate for Thursday Night Football. You can count on this every week for the Thursday night slate and the Monday night slate. I don't think I'm going to have time to do Sunday Night Football, so you're just going to have to deal with that, brother. And then I'll always do my week-long preview Saturday. Be looking out for that. And most importantly, I'm going to be doing a full week preview with my man JohnGaltJD, which we did yesterday. Go check that out. Don't let the fact that the title was spelled wrong discourage you. It should be right by the time you look it up. We break down the slate, go over some good strategies, and if you don't know, we're probably some guys you want to consider listening to. On that note, I actually brought my dude. Don't expect him here all the time. He normally just does the special stuff for our Discord. But I got it. I basically guilt tripped him today, and I said, bro, just do one with me, man. And so I have my dude JohnGaltJD on here with me, and he will be helping me break down this slate because if you don't know, we like money, and $1 million is a lot of money, even to a couple dudes like us. How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going? That was quite the intro.
I mean, you know, I got the big concert tonight, so I'd be lying to you. It's noon, and I already had a ranch water or two to kind of get loosened up for the concert. So I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty saucy. I'm glad, you know what? I'm glad the game's not tonight because the way I'm feeling right now, I would probably do way too much action on this game. Way too many Showdown lineups.
Oh, I'm already feeling that way, and the game's a day and a half away. I'm so excited for NFL.
Have you reserved your spots yet?
I've reserved some spots, not all of them.
Gotcha. Look at this. All right. So first of all, what we're going to do, what we always do here, guys, new guy, welcome, new guy. I like the cut of your jib. I'm going to be asking you a couple questions, but I'll also help you answer them. So here we go. It's your first time. I'll be nice. I will warn you. I come off a little strong at the start. All right. First thing we talk about is contest selection. Let's go over here to the classic captain mode for tomorrow. If you don't know, it's Buffalo and the Rams playing. You know, you got to give the NFL credit. Like, if you're going to have an opening night game, these have got to be like, what, 2 of the 4 teams that you would consider, right? Like, there's really only 4 teams that are, like, top tier, and these are 2 of them. We agree to this, right, John?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be an awesome start to the NFL season. Really looking forward to this game.
Do you like when you have 2 mega teams like this that have so many potential weapons that could go off in a showdown slate? Or do you like when it's a couple slapdick teams like, you know, like the Bears versus, I don't know, Jacksonville or something like that?
They both definitely present unique challenges, but no, I much prefer 2 high-powered teams that give you a lot of different options, ways to possibly get unique, find a little bit of leverage on the field, and try to take down that $1 million.
So let's start out with this. Do you have strong takes on if you should play in the Millionaire Maker or if you should play in like these nice $222, the $100 single entry, $33 single entry? Do you have like a strong feeling on that, or is it kind of a player-by-player thing?
Yeah, it really is how you're building lineups. I tend to be a big field tournament player, and so I'll probably be firing off in this one.
But we certainly have to be aware that when you're playing, like, whenever you're going to play in a single entry, are you warm to the idea of playing, like, some crazier lineups just because they're so much more likely to be unique? We all know you got to get crazy in a 350,000-person field like the Millionaire Maker, but I don't think that is such a common strategy in, like, a $100 single entry or a $222 single entry. Are you warm to that, or do you think you should play more conservative than those, like, 99% of people do?
Not more conservative, but there's also a point of like having too much leverage for a contest, or I guess like over leveraging a contest where like you've just taken more risk than you need to. So if you think about your lineup as like a parlay ticket, you've just built like a longer parlay for the same entry, for the same top payoff, right? The most you can win, say in your $100 single entry, is $5K first place.
Right.
You don't want to build a lineup that's so leveraged that it could also win the first place in the Millie Maker. Just because the payoff's so much bigger in the Millie Maker.
So in the Millie Maker, would you ever make a lineup that you would enter in the big $10 that may be replicated by 300 people?
The only way I'd probably end up that way, well, I would never intentionally do it, except The only way I guess I would intentionally somewhat do it is my lineups I build for the small fields. I'll usually also fire those off as part of my set into the 150 and the millie, just in case they happen to be the nuts. And those tend to be less contrarian lineups, so they'd be higher duplicated.
Gotcha.
But in terms of when I build my MME set, I am screening lineups for potential duplication.
So I'm going to go ahead and give my theories on this, and John, you just jump in at the end and tell me if there's anything you agree with or want to add. So when it comes to contest selection tomorrow, guys, I'm a big proponent of this. One of the best ways to become a successful DFS player is really to start targeting better contest selections. We'll really see this in week long. I'll break it down Saturday whenever I do my week 1 preview. But contest selection, it comes down to this. You want to get in contest where not all of the money is going to the top. And so right there, you should almost instantly exclude this millionaire maker where 1/3 of all of the entire prize pool is going to first place. That is a horrific thing. Like if you get second place, it's going to almost feel like you lost. Now, another good rule to remember is the 10% rule. You want 10th place to be roughly 10% of what first place is. And if you don't know, in this tournament, 10th place pays $10,000. That's only 1/100th of $1 million. Not the best payout structure. So if you go in and you start making your lineups and you find one that you really like, you would be so much better playing over here in like the $222 single entry, where you still have a huge amount going up top, but it's only 20% going to first as opposed to 33%. And notice that 10th place is still $2,500. Not great, as that's only 1/40th of 100,000, but it's still better. And if you really want to play you really want to be sustainable during the NFL season and make your bankroll last, go check out these $100 single entries. They're the nuts, right? So like here you go, the $100 single entry, this 75K SPY. Is 5,000 to first, and then 10th place is 1,000. That's 1/5. You hardly ever see that. What a tremendous payout structure. 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. Those are the sustainable ways for you to enjoy a contest, for you to break down data, for you to mess around with some lineups, get some exposure to the game, but also sustain your bankroll. If you're going to go play in this $10 entry, all of the pros will be playing 150 lineups in that, right? So you're going to go throw your 10 lineups in there. Do you really want to be playing your 10 lineups versus their 150? You don't want to do that. Furthermore, you also don't want to be playing where your 10 lineups, what are the chances of that hitting? That would be 1 in 35,000 chance you should expect to hit. So you would hit it something like what? Once every 2,000 years or so. Like that's not a very sustainable way. If you're going to play in this, you need to be entering a lot of lineups and getting exposures to a lot of different players and combinations, because that's what all the top pros are going to do. And if you're just wanting to play the lottery, well, that's fine. You can play the lottery. Go throw your 10 tickets in it, but then just know that you're going to be a deposit king all season, and you're going to wonder why you never win at this stuff or why you blow through your money so quick. It's because you're playing in tournaments like that. That's my spiel.
Yeah, give me a quick favor. Go back to that and check out the for people with a lower bankroll, the $15 single entry. I think it has like a 3,000 person field roughly.
Let's see. I'm not here. What do you know what the total prize is for it are? Maybe I should sort by total prizes. Let's see.
Should be like
right here. It's the bubble screen. Great name.
There you go. Yeah, 50K. Okay.
Yeah. So $15. And did you say this is a
This is a single entry.
Single entry, right? Yeah. So this is a great one. If you're $100 for a single slate is too much, this is exactly what we're talking about. 5,000 to first, 10th place, $500. The 1/10 rule, 10% rule is perfect. And $5,000. Don't lie, new guy. If you win $5,000, you'll be fucking dancing on your couch. Don't play. You'll be excited. These are the more sustainable contests to play in. It will make you enjoy Showdown and enjoy the NFL season. How many times do you do NFL and by week like 6, you're like, fuck, I can't afford to keep this rate going. I'm done with football. Well, that's because you're playing in stupid contests chasing like $1 million that you're never going to win. If you want to make DFS football enjoyable and sustainable, check out these contests. Same thing over here.
The first contest I ever won. That one was.
Was it? There you go. And like that, and now the man has quite the bankroll. He didn't start with like a huge bankroll. He built it up through success and good tournament selections. And then same thing over here on FanDuel. The only time that I will ever max enter the millionaire maker, because I'm not a fucking degenerate, even though my name may make you think I am, is if I see an overlay. I would say FanDuel may have a chance at an overlay, seeing it's not even at 90,000 yet, but we'll see. They'll probably start giving away free tickets left and right tomorrow. But I would be way more likely to go check out these more balanced contests. Like the $4.44 one is pretty good. 20,000 to first, so that's only 1/20th. Excuse me. That's only 20% of the prize pool going to first. But I will say, that goes down quick. $200 to 10th. Okay, that's kind of gross. So that's
really
one. Yeah, that's 1/100th. No, thank you.
Check out the $3. It's $100K total prize pool, $10K to first.
Let's see. Which the $3. You say a $3? Oh, right here. Yeah. This is the setup. So this one is 75. Yeah, that's a great contest. Look at that. 10th place is $500, so that's 1/20th of first, 10,000 to first. That's a great one right there. Like that's one you could easily go put 100 lineups in and not like bust your bankroll and have a legit shot to win some real money. Are you more of a FanDuel or DraftKings guy, John?
Oh, I'm definitely a DraftKings player, but I did check out the lobby this morning over at FanDuel just to see what they have. Yep. And I may be tempted to fire off at that Millie Maker over there too, because I'm just a degen like that.
There it is. I mean, hey, I've already put expectations on my man John that he's got to win the Millie Maker this year. Last year, the mere peasant only came in third, so now he has to step it up.
Exactly.
All right, just so you know, me and John, we do way more in-depth content over on the Patreon, which is all through the Discord. We have, I think we're working on well over 200 members, pushing towards 300 over there. If you want to have access to me and John and want to know more about all the things we offer and exclusive content, come check out this because it's pretty badass. But John, let's get into it. The slate for tomorrow. First of all, we're going to be using Run the Sims, which if you don't know, me and John swear by Run the Sims. That I actually am such a big fan. I made partners with them, and if you want to go sign up for them, use code DGEN75, all lowercase, and it'll get you 10% off. And I don't know how you can play fantasy football serious and not use this. You can use it to project how games will play out. You can put in your own custom inputs, and it will spit out how that will change projections. It's the best site out there. And so this is what we will be using when we're breaking down this slate. John, I'm going to kick it to you first. What are your first thoughts? You got any big hot takes right off the bat we should lead off with?
Dawson Knox, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Done. Show over.
These are the generic inputs. We're not going to show you our inputs. We'll show that to the Discord. But if you just use the generic inputs and you go over here and you look, Dawson Knox was one of the people that really stood out to me, right? They only have him projected at 15% ownership, right? And he is in the optimal 17.1%. So he's one of the players that actually has some leverage. Furthermore, they actually have him, I could not believe this when I saw this, but they have him as the captain, being the optimal captain play 1.2% of the time. That means if this game's played 80 times, Dawson Knox would be the nuts play at captain at least one time. That surprised me.
And honestly, that's with some pretty low inputs. I was looking earlier at the Knox inputs, and I actually think his target share will be higher than what they have because their baseline is a 12% target share for him. And I think, honestly, he'll get more usage this season. I think his end of season usage was encouraging. Mm-hmm. I know he's missed a couple of weeks. His brother passed away, and now he's coming back and playing.
Oh, we're going dead relative narrative right off the bat.
I mean, not that there's necessarily a narrative, but I think his usage at the end of the season was encouraging. But also, yeah, I'm a sucker for a little narrative, and they're going to want to let him score and get a little celebration.
And the fact that he's 6,800, which is almost very comparable to the 7,200 of Gabe Davis. No one is. If you got $7,200 left for your last spot, 3% of people would go play Dawson Knox over Gabe Davis. No one's going to do that.
Yeah, never. Yeah, I mean, Gabe Davis coming off his 4 touchdown game is going to be so hype for this game.
Absolutely. I'm again, when it came to best ball, I drafted way too much of that motherfather. But I just don't think I can play him here. I think he'll be the chalky play because he has such huge upside at such a reasonable price.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like we're burying the lead here. What I think you should always look at injuries first, people that are going to be out, because that directly affects usage. And I'm a big usage guy. I want to know when this guy's out, how is that going to impact the usage of other players? So, have you been keeping up? I'm hearing that Van Jefferson is likely going to be out. Likely to play, and I'm hearing that Isaiah McKenzie, which is essentially the same guy for the other team, is likely to play.
Yep, exactly.
So is there any other relative news that we should consider? As far as injuries?
Akers and Henderson are both good to go for week 1, so I'd be really interested to see what their split's going to be. The difficulty with week 1 is we really have nothing to go on except for last season, and both were injured at various points and of various health. So it's hard to really project what their split's going to be. I think the team probably wants Akers to be the lead back, but I don't know if it'll be like a hot hand thing where if Henderson, comes in on his carries and, is able to eat up some yards on the ground, he doesn't get a chance to do that. So yeah, that situation's interesting. I'm guessing Akers at $8,000 is going to be so low owned. Like it says here that they have 19%. One thing last season, one of the things I always do was use my own ownership projections after exporting the sim results, so that I can compare leverage on kind of my own leverage rather than what Run the Sims thinks leverage should be.
Right.
So I would be really interested to see what his ownership is.
I will say this, using the base projections, which, by the way, I don't think it's a great idea to use Run the Sims base projections. The whole thing that makes the site cool is you go input your own projections on how you think the game will play out and then run the Sims. But just in their base projections, their generic ones, they have Cam Akers as like the nuts play, right? They have him only 20% owned, but he is coming in the optimals at like 32%. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, 39%. So 22% is what they haven't projected at. He's coming in at 39. So that's like, of all the plays, he would seem to be the highest leverage play on the slate if you have the balls to play him.
And I'm guessing, honestly, his ownership's going to come in lower than that when I finish doing my ownership. You
just can't put him in. $8,000 for a running back that you are unsure about. People aren't going to want to make that click.
100%. The wide receivers are who people want to play in these games.
Exactly. Like,
it means it's time to play some running backs.
Yeah, exactly. And when everybody wants to play receivers, everybody's sure the game's going to be a shootout. A great way to get huge leverage on the field is just play a different game script than everybody else and just hope the game doesn't work out the same way everybody else is thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing I would say when building showdown lineups is you just need to be thinking about what game script are you building a lineup for. You can't this isn't something where you can just, run an optimizer and pump lineups in. You need to be building lineups with a game script in mind. And what's cool about Run the Sims is you can adjust those inputs and you can build, say, a set of 30 lineups with inputs of, a low scoring grinded out type game,
right,
or then switch it up to a shootout.
Yeah, generically, they already have the Rams at 25 points scored. If you think the Rams are going to score 17, that's going to greatly diminish a lot of these guys' projections.
Yeah, I was doing that earlier. I dropped the projections down for both teams to like a grinded out, like whatever, maybe 17-13 type game or something. I forgot what I put in exactly. But you see the defenses, both defenses jump up, their optimal rates jump up pretty significantly. Right. Like in your simulations you ran with the baselines, what are the defenses' optimal rates?
The generic defense, I know the Rams were pretty decent. I remember noticing that. That was one. Right there. Yeah, so you got the Rams at 14% and you have the Bills at 11%.
Yeah, I think both were over 20% when I ran it with a reduced score for each team.
And in shootout games, I feel like this is you tell me if I'm wrong here, but this is a huge misconception about shootout games, that defenses can't be good viable plays, because people are this is like, it reminds me of Sunday Showdown at PGA. People overrate like scoring points, and everybody thinks, oh, I need a defense that's going to get a shutout. Defenses never fucking get shutouts in the NFL. What you want is defenses that are going to have a lot of plays against passing plays so they can get sacks, interceptions, and make the quarterback fumble and take it to the house. That's what you want. And in a shootout game, there tends to be more passes, and that's more chances for a defense to score. Yes, you might not get the 2 bonus points because they gave up, over 14 points or what the fuck ever. But like, that's such an overrated narrative that people don't consider when picking defenses. Right or wrong?
100%. Especially if your quarterback throws an early pick six, you play a quarterback versus the opposing defense. Your quarterback throws an early pick six, and so now he's incentivized to just chuck the rest of the game.
Love that. Call that the Zach Wilson. Okay, he's going to throw a pick six early. Now you got to throw the ball the rest of the game, you motherfather. Love it.
I believe that was renamed from the Matt Stafford, but yeah.
Okay.
Or the Jameis Winston. Hard to tell. All
right, we got to dive in. Let's just start with the Rams, because I feel like the Rams have more opportunity to be unique here. With Van Jefferson being out, do you think it's going to play that usage goes over to Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, or do you think that one of these punt wide receivers of Skowronek or Atwell end up absorbing some of that usage?
No, Atwell may get a little usage. I'll be interested to see his usage. We saw Skowronek used very lightly in the playoffs after Odell Beckham got hurt. But Allen Robinson, I'll be really interested to see. He's like such a clean, crisp route runner that he could do really well in this offense opposite Kupp.
And that price tag is delicious.
Half the price of Cooper Kupp, literally half the price.
Do we know anything about Atwell? Do we know anything? Because he didn't have a single catch last year, and so is he like a home run type guy, or is he like a little slot possession guy?
I will be honest, I know absolutely nothing about
These are the things that I need to go learn before it. Because like if he's a home run type and he just catches 150-yard bomb over the defense and gets a touchdown at 1,000, he's the nuts play all of a sudden. You have to have him, but he may be not the kind of guy that would ever run routes like that.
So Atwell failed to log a single snap last season on offense due to a season-ending injury. So that's not promising. So he's coming off an injury.
I will tell you, like the Scouternet guy, like if he really does come in at 25% ownership, don't love it. Like,
oh my gosh, I'd much rather play Atwell at 4%, knowing almost nothing about him.
Exactly right. I mean, and that's just a great way to block out a lot of the field when people think they can get cute with the third receiver. And like if he's 5%, I get it, but 25% is ridiculous. There's just no way. So I think Allen Robinson becomes a great play. I think this ownership they have on here is a little modest for him. I think he will definitely be over 50% the way he's been getting talked up. The fact that everybody thinks he's a star and he's just always needed a good quarterback. And, I think a lot of people think that the Bills will try to stop Kupp. And if they're going to stop Kupp, that makes Robinson perfect, right?
I mean, honestly, I think the Bills can kind of just smother this team generally. I'll be really interested to see if the Rams have a little bit of Super Bowl hangover. One of the builds I will definitely be making is a, Rams letdown, Bills roll, like a, 32-14, 32-10 type game where it is just a true beatdown. Or maybe even a 32-17, but the ending is, it's like they get a late touchdown or something to make it look somewhat respectable and not the true beatdown it was. I'll be really interested to see how this game starts.
I will say, so there's the receivers. I will say the biggest problem with the Rams at their running back position, as much as I think they're both pretty high upside plays, because I don't think many people are going to be on them, so it's not very hard to get some leverage on them, is what is their path to success? You know what I mean? Like neither of them are great receiving options. The Rams throw to their running backs like as little as any team in the NFL, and it does seem like it'll probably be about a 60-40 split. So like give me a path to where one of these guys is in the optimal.
Oh, it would take a lot breaking right. Either one or both of them not being fully healthy and one of them being there as the full true workhorse. But that really hasn't been the indication from camp. But maybe one's just there truly as a less of a change of pace back, and one's going to get full work. And if one's going to get a full work, McVay does have a tendency to want to run the ball. I think he knows he shouldn't, and he still runs the ball a fair amount. So I think if one of them was going to carry the ball as 80% of the work, I think they would have a path to falling in. Also, there's always the deep play to Kupp that gets pass interference and sets up that 1 yard fall into the end zone type situation for those running backs. So I think it's tough, but I think that's what's interesting about this sim is you can even dial back their rush share or dial back the rush rate generally for the team. Assume the Rams trail most of the way, in which case they're definitely not going to rush 42% of the time, and say they drop to a 30% rush rate. And then you can run the sim again and see what that does. And so that's something, me with limited computing knowledge, I'm not able to do that any other way. But last season when this was introduced, I was able to start thinking about, showdown slates or main slates a lot differently, because you can do this same exact thing for main slate. Obviously with, 13 or 12 or whatever games to break down, but you can do it just as granularly. And so it's a good way just to see, what if this is what happens? How does that change what are optimal lineups? Because you can see, one of the next steps, you can actually look at your custom lineups here for Showdown, and it'll tell you, based on the inputs that you just ran and the simulations you ran, these are the optimal lineups for your build.
Right. Which is nice when you're playing a game narrative, which I think is really, with NFL Showdown becoming so sharp, it's one of the last few ways to really, gain any leverage on the field is going in with a game narrative and playing that heavier than everybody else and then getting that game narrative. That would be about one of the few ways. Hey, I totally forgot Tyler Higbee. I think Tyler Higbee is a way more likely third option in this offense than either of those slapdick receivers. And they have him coming in at pretty modest ownership. You got any hot takes on him?
No, I'm actually Higbee's someone I'm way overexposed to in best ball, so I hope he starts hot. I think, I like Higbee generally. I think he bounced back off injury. He seems to be healthy, and they like to use the tight end.
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't put him in my captain play. I don't think he has any chance of being an optimal captain play, but he is definitely a guy I could work in as the fourth or fifth guy in my lineup. Which leads me to my hottest take of all. I will probably make a bang load of lineups tomorrow, and I will have precisely 0 Matthew Stafford in the captain.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I guess if I was going to do it, the only way I would put Stafford is with 2 of his pass catchers. But even then, I think it would be very hard for Stafford to be optimal over one of his pass catchers.
Right. Because if he's throwing the ball around, if say you go Kupp and Robinson and Stafford, if he is getting those guys enough points that he is a good play in the captain spot, it's very likely one of those guys got enough yards or touchdowns to overpass him and be a better play in the captain's position. Because
because he's 12,400.
Right. But man, Kupp, yeah. Kupp's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to do some soul searching tonight about can he keep up that massive efficiency he had last year. All right, before we skip on out of here, I'm pretty warm to the Rams defense. No one's going to play the Rams defense. They're going to be very low owned. We know Aaron Donald's got a sack or 2 in him. Maybe he gets a fumble. Maybe they pick it up and scoop it to the house and they get 10 or 12 points in the game. That would be plenty good enough to be, the 5th or 6th spot in an optimal lineup. Agreed or disagree?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be scared to play him against Allen, just like we talked about. Say he throws an early pick 6. The Rams defense is looking good now, and now Allen's going to chuck the rest of the game and can still end up in an optimal lineup.
I never play kickers. I just don't play them. It just as a general rule. Some weeks it bites me, but I just know that kickers, probably more than any other positions, probably right there with defense, are the most overplayed relative to how often they're in the optimal lineup. And so I just made myself a promise a couple years ago. I'll just never play kickers, and I'll just pick up that edge in the long run.
Okay. I mean, that's definitely a choice. I definitely like kickers in low-scoring games. They just have a chance to score so much higher relative to guys in that same price range in a low-scoring game.
So you're open to Gay here? No, because you don't. Well, you don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so.
Yeah, I don't necessarily, but when you run your sims, you'll see that in low-scoring games, kickers become optimal at a higher percentage. And so, yeah, when I think there's low-scoring games, especially we get some real crappy Thursday night games later in the season, so kickers are a lot more likely to be optimal then. And same with defenses. Low-scoring games, defenses are optimal a lot more. I would say I just kind of have to be thoughtful of how you play them because, like you said, they do get over-owned relative to their chances of success.
If you go over here and look, tomorrow they have, let's see, the defenses. Just these are with the baseline projections. They have the Rams as actually a leverage play. The Bills' defense is about a push. And then for the kickers, they have Bass at negative 14% leverage and Gay at negative 10% leverage. So that's a hard pass for me. All right, speaking of defenses, I don't like the Bills' defense. I actually think Stafford's pretty good at taking care of the football. And even though I think they're going to be winning, they're going to be in a game script that will be favorable for them. I know that they'll probably be at a decently higher ownership than the Rams. And because of that, I'll just not play that defense.
Yeah, I think that's a fair analysis. I think if I'm building low-scoring game scripts, I can definitely see myself playing them again in a low-scoring game script build.
All right, so I think that the question here is is there any way in which you would never play Josh Allen in any of your lineups? Just a complete Josh Allen fade.
Oh gosh, no. I'm a Josh Allen truther. That man's the real deal. I can't see myself fading Allen. I picked it up before I faded Allen.
It seems like his worst case scenario is he's still an awesome play. He's just so safe. He can get there so many different ways, and he's a gamer, and he's tough, and he just has everything you want. There's just
honestly, I'd be more likely to lock him and fade Kupp completely.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Josh Allen is one of those guys that I think I'll have him in 100% of my lineups because I want to have leverage on him, and I will probably play him if I'm seeing 26% captain owned, I might put him at 50% in my captain because if I'm gonna play him, and he does well, which I project that he will. I want to have leverage on the field, and really the only way to do that would probably be to play him in 100% of my lineups and have him at least 50% of those lineups with him as captain. You with me?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great way to get leverage. And then I guess the next question then, do you play him with 1 or 2 of his pass catchers because he is someone that can score on his feet, but in terms of him being optimal over his pass catchers, I think you would almost want to have more than one person getting there.
Yeah, I agree. But if there is a quarterback in this game, Matthew Stafford could never have a great game without two of his receivers getting there. Josh Allen, in theory, could have 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns and then could throw another 2 to Diggs or who the hell ever, and nobody else really gets above 8 or 9 fantasy points, right? That is a script that could happen. So I am not as scared to play Josh Allen with just one pass catcher. But I do agree. Probably the more likely and optimal play would be one of his receivers, and I really like him to pair up with Knox, or maybe one of the running backs catches a screen.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see their usage early season too. They all of their backs had good preseasons. All of their backs are having like glowing reports from various beat writers. So it's really hard to see what the usage will be there. If I had to, put money on it right now, I'd say Singletary gets the work, continuing off last season's momentum.
Devin Singletary will get at least 50% of the carries, and here's why. Not because I think he's the best back. I do think James Cook takes over by the end of the year. But Devin Singletary in a big game to start the season, they're going to go with experience, and they're going to go with a guy that they know they can trust, and they can obviously trust him. So because of that, I think he gets the at least the majority of the carries. I think he will be in more than Moss and Cook combined. That's my hot take.
All right, then here you go. Here's a stack for you. Allen, captain, Singletary, Knox, and now you can pretty much do what you want because that's got to be fairly unique.
Very unique, right? And then you know what? I actually I was messing around with some Bills. I like going with 2 Bills and 4 Rams a lot because that's a great way to get different, especially in the big, if you're playing in any GPP that has over, 5,000 people, you're going to need to get different. And a great way to get different is 2 Bills, 4 Rams. Hardly anybody's going to have that build. Almost everybody's going to have 3 or 4 Bills. And so
especially
a way to get different.
One of your 2 Bills is your captain. The 2 with the 2 coming from the captain is probably even less rostered than the other way.
What about a Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, 4 Rams? Is that too gross?
Oh, man. And you're going to have Allen as your captain or Singletary?
Oh, definitely Allen as the captain.
So you think Allen throws 1 or 2, but Singletary has to catch 1 or 2?
Josh Allen, here's the script. Josh Allen, 323 yards. No, fuck that. Josh Allen, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns. 1's rushing, 1's a screen to Singletary, and 1 is to Jamison Crowder, who nobody played.
No, you can't do Crowder because he will get played and he's too cheap. It would have to be like Diggs catching it where it doesn't matter because he costs $9K, and if he only has 1 catch for 15 yards and a touchdown, he's not going to be optimal.
All right, I didn't want to have to fight with my good friend John on our very first Showdown Hoedown together. But brother, you think Jamison Crowder is going to be highly owned tomorrow?
I don't know that he'll be highly owned, but he will be owned. I can tell you, I'll be rostering him.
Definitely. That's my favorite play for the Bills. Is everybody so convinced that Isaiah McKenzie has taken it over, and he probably will be the starter, and he may get more targets. But because he's half the price of Jamison Crowder, I still think there's a path that Jamison Crowder catches 3 passes for 42 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll be playing him more than 4%. That I'm pretty sure.
Right. And to me, he's the sneaky play for the Bills. There is a chance that Isaiah McKenzie isn't as great as everyone thinks he is. They go with the veteran hand in Jamison Crowder. If he's 4%, I will be at least 3 times the field on him. I will definitely cook some of them in.
Hang up to be contrarian there, right? Like kind of the same thing with Cam Akers. You're getting the more expensive of the options at the trade-off of way less rostership.
Right. James Cook at 2,800. People are going to love that he's going to, he has these glowing reports. He's this future star. But James Cook, to me, if he's really going to come in at 24%, hard fade. Just because I think he's going to get most of his points are going to be reliant on him getting a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, it sounds like they want to use him in kind of an everything role, but the thing is Singletary kind of does that too, and Singletary is already established in the team. So I've been drafting James Cook on the late season play in best ball. By the end of the season, I think he has a chance to be the.
If this were week 14, I'd be all about some James Cook, but it's week 1. So to me, that's another guy. If I can block out 24% of the field, that's a guy that I'm comfortable fading.
I think that's probably a sharp fade.
All right. As far, I guess the last one we need to go with here is the receivers. Who do you think is the most likely to, the best person to pair with Allen?
So Diggs definitely had some negative touchdown regression last season. I think he has a path, provided he's not just, getting old and dusty, to scoring a lot more this season. But if he really is on his way down, I mean, we saw Gabe Davis with the elite ceiling last season. So all that to say, I'm probably going to continue to wager on Diggs, and I've continued to select him in best ball because until I've seen him turn to dust, I'm going to wager on him still being Stefon Diggs that can just do things others can't.
I agree. And it looks like his ownership is relatively modest for how, for what a big name he is and how much upside he has. I mean, if you can really get him only 40% owned by the field, that's, I can get over 50% Diggs and have leverage on him. So I'm not opposed to that. And I honestly think just because of how many expensive players there are in this game, I think he'll probably come in closer to more like 30% in the flex, not 40. That's just my guess.
I think that's exactly right. I was just going to say that the reason I think even they're showing a depressed ownership here in their projection, and I think it'll be even lower, is because there are so many other spend-up options here and relatively few spend-down options, right? I mean, normally there's at least some viable super cheapie, but here, I mean, who is viable that we've talked about that's like an uber cheapie? McKenzie
at 2,400 and Showdown.
That's not an uber cheapie. An uber cheapie is like sub 1,000 guys.
Oh,
like
okay.
Atwell is 1,000.
Okay. To me, it's super cheapy. It's 3,000 or less. I guess you like to go scrub hunting.
I mean, because if those guys only need like 4 or 5 points to become optimal, like if you play Sweeney and he has 2 catches for 26 yards, he's probably optimal, right?
Probably 400. Yeah, probably.
I mean, he doesn't need more than probably 4 points or 3 points. Gosh, he doesn't need much because you can just build such a different lineup when you put in someone at $400.
All right, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that there is a Khalil Shakur, which is Tupac's little brother. So you got to consider playing him. You got to consider – that's not a fact, everybody. Please don't repeat that. I just noticed the name. I had to say it. All right, that is the show. We were trying to keep it to 30 minutes. We didn't fucking make it, Bob. Deal with it. So things you want to take away from this show is please be aware of your contest selection. Get in contests that fit what you want to do and what your long-term goals are for the season so you don't blow through all your money. Also, if there's a lot of players you like and you want to mix and match them, well, then maybe go get an MME, a mass multi-entry where you can enter all those guys, but do one at a cheaper. Do the $3 as opposed to the $10. If you only like a handful of guys or you make 1 or 2 lineups you really like, well, consider putting those bad boys in a single entry, calling it a night, and enjoying the game. That would be my takeaway from you. Also, fade Josh Allen at your own peril. Matthew Stafford as a captain is a donkey. John likes kickers and defenses more than I do, but I will compromise with him, and I will play some Rams defense. I hope to see you again. We're going to do this I'm going to do this every Monday and Thursday. John will always join me on the Discord. If you want to be on that Discord, go check out the Patreon. If you like the cut of my jib, consider liking and subscribing. I've enjoyed having you, new guy. I hope to see you again. Don't forget to come check out Saturday night, my final analysis of the slate, and don't you dare consider making a lineup before you watch that, new guy. Okay, I'm going to ask you some hard-ass questions. You better be ready for it. I've enjoyed our time together. I will see you next time. I hope you enjoy my outro, you motherfather.